The Hex Maniac is one of the very few trainer classes who specialize in... Oh, I'm sorry, you don't recognize the very popular Pokemon character, the Hex Maniac? Psh, honestly, so many fake Pokemon fans these days. As I was saying, the Hex Maniac is one of the very few Pokemon trainer classes that specialize in Ghost-type Pokemon, which is maybe a little bit odd given how popular that Pokemon type is. Being a Maniac, they are of a kind with the Pokemaniac, Bugmaniac, and Ruin Maniac trainer classes, people who have an otaku-like obsession for one particular subject, which is probably why the first design for the Hex Maniac takes the form of a girl in a witch's hat and a cloak holding a crystal ball in her hands. The idea here seems to be that this is someone with a nerd obsession with hexes and curses and witchcraft and the supernatural, and who dresses in a costume that's appropriate to her fandom. And honestly, I really like this Hex Maniac quite a bit. It's a cute design, and it's a fun way to design a ghost-type trainer without just defaulting to horror and ghost story imagery. Of course, 3 generations later, in X and Y, the Hex Maniac does get a new design, which you might be a little more familiar with. In Gen 6, rather than a witchcraft nerd, the Hex Maniac is presented as a pale girl in a plain, somewhat Victorian-looking dress with a spiderweb motif, with long, heavy, disheveled hair and a spiral-eyed, creepy, smiling expression. She is fixated on the Pokeball in her hand, which she is holding through a protective cloth, implying perhaps that it's a cursed item that's unsafe to touch directly. The emphasis here is on the Maniac part of the name. She looks obsessive and somewhat unhealthy, like she's so fixated or dissociated that she's not really taking care of herself. It's all very gothic in the aesthetic sense, all creepy intensity and the unsettling worry that you're dealing with a person who isn't quite seeing the same world that you are. Or at least it's supposed to be unsettling, but if you know anything about the Hex Maniac as part of Pokemon fan culture, you know that she got, popular. Very popular, to the point that in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire remakes, Game Freak just fully retconned her Gen 6 design into the Gen 3 canon, so RIP to the original Hex Maniac. Her popularity does do credit to the character design. It's clearly successful and very appealing. A lot of people see something to like in the Maniac, and even something to relate to. A lot of people also fetishize her as a goth GF Yandere and such like, and she's got a huge amount of her popularity from R34, but that's not the only reason people like her so much. There is something appealing in a character type who's a little bit fucked up, a little bit messy, and less than stable. In some ways, the Hex Maniac feels more human, easier to relate to than the squeaky clean and uncomplicated cartoon archetypes that Pokemon is usually populated with. This is the avatar of someone doing their 13th hour of shiny hunting in a row while cans of Monster pile up next to their bed.